Did you guys see the photo that I posted of the new pin for the podcast?
I did, and then I noticed that you had it sitting there, and I was like, ooh.
Isn't it kind of sharp?
It's sharp. I wish it was metal.
So the prototype is plastic, but you're actually going to get a metal pin. And so we're thinking like $5 or $6, maybe $8, just somewhere. It'll be less than 10. But I think it's a really cool way for people to brag about the show and then show support for the show. They're pretty slick. You're watching episode 44 of Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars show. Jesse, David, and David, glad to be with you in this moment. Just so you know, while we're recording this episode in real time, we're actually on Facebook Live right now. There's a camera over here. Everyone on Facebook Live is checking us out. But if you're catching us on the rewind, welcome in. So excited to have you here. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of Star Wars Episode 9 news, which is kind of what we expected, right? This is about the time where that threshold is going to break, and we're going to get all this Episode 9 goodness. We also are going to talk the Star Wars Resistance trailer that dropped a few weeks ago. This is our first chance to talk about that. And somehow we were able to fit Russia into this week's episode. It's not a political stance, but yet Russia is going to be mentioned at some point. It looks like they might have their own ATST. You're not going to respond. That was the article that you pitched.
I know. Well, I pitched most of these articles.
Are you not listening?
I am.
Oh, David just tunes me out.
Do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to?
No, we're going to talk about it later. I'm glad you were participating. This is supposed to be conversation, a Star Wars conversation that we're all a part of.
What I think about this badass Flash.
We'll talk about it when it comes to that point in the show.
Now I try to talk about it, and he doesn't want.
Let's dive into real talk. Oh, hey, before we dive into real talk, just to put on your radar, because I just found out about this. We are getting the Star Wars Han Solo, the Solo Star Wars story in September. I didn't know we were getting this, but it's like September 15th. We're getting the DVD Blu-ray release, and then we get the Steelbook like the week after, which I'm not going to get, but I just figured you guys are going to go Blu-ray, right? Well, you go DVD.
I'll probably get a Blu-ray. Yeah.
Well, if they sell DVDs, I try to buy a couple DVDs at Walmart, and they're done with them. They're only doing digital sales and Blu-ray.
I try to get Avengers Infinity War Part 1, right? Or I guess it's just Infinity War. Yeah, it's only the DVD 4K version. I don't want that. I want the DVD Blu-ray combo.
See, I feel like I was really smart when I picked up that PlayStation 3 bundle like years ago, because it was like, that's why I bought it. It was like a glorified Blu-ray player with a chance of games. It's totally paying off now.
I can't put my DVDs I can't put my Blu-rays into my PlayStation 2, which is the newest gaming console I have.
Do you live in 2006 like David Gilbert? Let us know down in the comments below. Real Talk is our first segment of our show that we always have here on Beyond the Blast Doors. Real Talk, the segment where if it's on the screen, we're talking about it. And episode 9, let's go ahead and dive in because we've got a lot of, I want to say leaked images, and because they're leaked, we can't show them on screen. And because they're leaked, this could be considered spoilers. So we'll go ahead and say spoilers now, graphic on the screen. You've been warned. We're going to talk about this for the next 7 minutes or so.
Also subject to change, too.
That's very true, because especially with the Chewbacca stuff that we'll touch on in a second.
Yes.
First things first, though, we have some leaked images, and of course, I want to thank our friends over at StarWarsNewsNet.com for making us aware of this information. The fact is, we have images of Finn and Poe not holding hands, but they are in close proximity to each other, and they are on a grassy hill.
I think David is hell-bent that these guys are a little more than friends.
I'm going to be honest. When I saw these leaked images, the first thing I thought of was Anakin and Padme rolling around in the hills of Naboo. And I was like, it's so close to being a great like throwback to that scene. I don't think Disney has the balls enough to do it, though. But we get these images, and it's going to kind of segue into another big leak for Episode 9. Big is a relative word. But we can't really tell much from these images, but does it excite you? We're seeing, two of the leads of the movie, and we're also seeing some brand new characters. Dive right in, guys. You sound really excited about it.
Well, just the environment, especially one that in particular, like, they were showing like basically these horses that were like kind of in costume with
had a lot of CG markings,
CG markings on them. So that kind of that's curious.
It kind of looks like the shooting of Sound of Music. Like I'm waiting for like somebody to come out and start singing. A bunch of like German kids start like singing in unison.
I don't know if I saw the Poe and Finn picture.
You didn't see? How did you not? That was the very first thing in the show notes. We got images of Poe and Finn, and then we have like, it looks like maybe they're royals or maybe they're rebels, but they're on this like grassy terrain. They're having to walk up a hill. Jesse mentioned these horses. They have like CG markings on the nose.
The only picture that I saw was the set picture where they've got like the boat ton of lamps hanging down from the ceiling and what maybe is the Jedi Temple, that one?
Yep, that's like from a week ago. You're looking at the wrong thing. That's okay, though. We've already covered that, David, but thank you for participating. Maybe you can participate in this next story, which is kind of the same thing, which is Chewbacca has to come back to set. Supposedly, and this is again a report that we're getting thanks to StarWarsNewsNet.com, supposedly Jonas, who's now the new actor who plays Chewbacca, shot a lot of his scenes for Episode 9 during the shoot for Han Solo, which I question how that could be possible, but nonetheless, seems like the story has changed quite a bit.
The script wasn't done yet, was it?
The script was wrapping. I think the script was in the works, but I think they're saying that JJ had some things in mind where it's like, hey, if you already got the Falcon built and you got Chewie there, you might as well do it. That's why there's a lot of people saying that this is totally possible. I don't buy. Like I don't see how they could shoot anything for Episode 9 because, like you mentioned, J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio are still working through this script.
Really, no context there, and that Falcon for Solo was a different Falcon than what we're gonna see.
Right. So a lot of it just doesn't sync up. So I'm I'm not really buying into that. I know the reason why people believe this is though because Jonas had to cancel one of his Comic-Con appearances. And so this kind of has everyone being like, oh, I don't think anyone's really bummed out about a Comic-Con appearance being ditched, but...
Well, I mean, celebs cancel, appearances all the time. I mean, good example, Stan Lee was supposed to be at Wizard World St. Louis when we were there, and he canceled due to health reasons.
I wonder, though, if it's a thing where maybe JJ thought some stuff could be shot, but now, we hear within the last couple of weeks that we're getting Lando Calrissian back on the show. Billy D. Williams is cast. He's going to be playing Lando in Episode 9. Maybe that caused the script to change dramatically to the point where Chewie needed to get his stuff recut, which maybe means we're getting more Chewie in Episode 9 than we were originally supposed to, because Chewie, out of all the original characters, gets the shaft the most. That's just the truth. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how this develops. Like I said, I don't think there's anything shocking about the dropout from the Comic-Con list.
Do you think he'll have a happy ending, Chewie?
What do you mean by happy ending?
I don't know. I mean, Wookiees have a long lifespan. Do you think he'll, meet somebody new to go adventuring with? Or do you think he's going to retire back to
I don't know.
Kashyyyk?
I have an answer
Do you
to
think
that.
he's going to die?
Okay.
His happy ending would be a nice 2 toasty slices of bread with some nice crispy pork bacon and lettuce and tomato on it.
I thought you were going to say a planet was going to come crushing down on him.
No, like a pork bacon sandwich sounds
Pork
pretty
bacon?
good.
See, I want to believe that Chewie is going to live through the end of Episode 9. I don't think you have to kill off every OT character, because that's literally killing... I mean, I can be a baby here and say you're killing my childhood, but I really don't think you have to kill every OT character. I would be totally fine with Chewie and Lando surviving the entirety of Episode 9, and they kind of just go off.
They walk off in the
sunset
together?
And they just do their own thing.
The
Buddy
double
buddies.
sunset?
Yeah, they're just buddy buddies, and they're going to go out and they're going to do whatever routes they can do, because at this point, too, Lando's going to be older. He's going to be, playing, late 60s, 70s in this movie. Billy D is, in his early 80s, late 70s. So I'd be fine with those two being able to just have a happy ending, go off in the sunset. There's going to be some reconstruction to the political government, the government of the galaxy, and I'm sure you're going to have Poe or Finn involved with that some way, somehow. Any objection to that? Would you not want to see Chewie live out?
I want to see Chewie have a good ending.
Great.
I mean, he's based off of Lucas's dog, isn't he? I don't want them to kill off Lucas's dog.
Well, and it's crazy to think if you go back through the movies that we have, and then Clone Wars, and then doesn't he make an appearance in Rebels? Chewie's everywhere in this Star Wars
A lot of
timeline.
cameos. You could say he's had a lot of cameos.
Yeah, he's
with-
definitely. I know I can see the scene where he's in Clone Wars. He's been everywhere, so it'd be kind of cool to see him go through it all. But at the same point, I thought it'd be really cool to see Luke Skywalker go through all three. We know how that turned out.
Dreams shattered.
I'm not complaining. Let us know what you think. Are you excited by the images that have leaked from the set of Episode 9? Let us know down in the comments below. We can't show you those images because the moment we show you those images, our episode gets taken down. We get slammed with a copyright issue. And honestly, it's not really worth getting sued over. It's just not. It's not worth it. Real quick. The Millennium Falcon is in Episode 9. We've confirmed that. We had that image of the Millennium Falcon in the woods.
Did we not expect that?
I think we all expected to see the Falcon. It's just kind of cool to see a built Falcon in the woods, because there's a lot of people thinking Endor is going to be in Episode 9. Weren't you just saying how you wanted Endor back in Episode 9?
No, you were complaining to me that you thought Endor was going to be back.
Oh, that's how that conversation works.
tasty teddy bears.
There's a lot of people thinking it's either going to be Kashyyyk or it's going to be Endor.
I'd be happy if we went back to Kashyyyk.
Kashyyyk would be actually interesting because
Why?
Because there's story for it. At one point in time, Han and Chewie went off on kind of a rogue mission to help the Wookiees out on Kashyyyk and everything. So I think that was in the Aftermath books.
Well, yeah, I kind of wanted you to be like, oh, remember the life death that we didn't see in Solo: A Star Wars Story?
Maybe that's where Chewie gets his happy ending. He gets to go back home with all his formerly enslaved Wookiees.
See, now you're starting to make this inappropriate.
And he's also bringing back a substantial food source in the form of porgs.
I think Kashyyyk is a legitimate.
My heart.
I think Kashyyyk is a legitimate option because of the history there with Chewie, and maybe the rebellion needs, because I don't think it's the Resistance anymore. I think it's the rebellion. That's how they were being referred to throughout Last Jedi, is the rebels. They need a military force. Maybe they're able to get the Wookiees to join in arms. And how cool would that be to have like this grand finale battle, and you have hundreds of Wookiees on the battlefield? You know, something like the battle we thought we were going to get in Revenge of the Sith. Not just like the one Wookiee shaking his arms, like an actual like Wookiees like going up and like grabbing people and ripping their arms off and like biting their necks.
Oh, like we got in Solo?
Yeah.
Dropping them on their head.
But see, that was a malnourished Wookiee. You know, that was
Chewie.
that was a Wookiee not to his full potential. Well, yeah, he ripped the arms off a droid, right?
He took a guy, flipped him upside down, and smashed him on his head.
Oh, that's right. That is what that movie did, right? That movie was so great. I wish more people would have gone and seen it. Some people, interestingly enough, think that the Falcon is on this wooded planet called Batu, which would be the homeworld of a Mr. THRAWN. And I'd be curious to think what you guys think about that speculation, because I just don't think that they're going to put THRAWN on the big screen, even though I would really want that. I think THRAWN is a villain that could have actually elevated the sequel trilogy, could have been an actual threat, a true opposition to our Rebels. I don't know if it's going to be possible. What do you think, David?
There's a rumor that Richard Grant, who is cast in this movie, but we don't know in what role, that he'll be playing THRAWN.
Right.
I think that might be kind of cool. He was in an interview with somebody, and they called him out point blank and asked him if he was going to do it, and he basically said no. But then he followed it up saying that if he leaked any information, he'd be fired. So...
Well, you actually just took us into our next topic, which is fine. Jesse, do you want to weigh in on that? As far as the fact that, you know, Richard Grant is asked about whether he's not playing THRAWN. He's not saying that THRAWN's not in it, but he's saying he's not going to play THRAWN. Do you think that J.J. Abrams brings THRAWN from the books, from Rebels, to the big screen?
If he was smart, I would think he would try to do it because, I mean, just the popularity of the character.
Right.
Fan service, you know, and anybody that did see Solo was like, there was a lot of fan service in that movie, and, you know, he may go, you know, that was actually good, and that's what the fan base needs right now. So I would love to see him in there. I mean, I would say it's a possibility.
But he can't have a big role, can
But
he?
at the same time, though, we don't know the status of the character due to the end of Rebels. So it's one of those things where it's kind of pending, depending on what we get in upcoming novels. Obviously, with the new Resistance television show. So we'll it's kind of a wait and see. But I would love to actually see the character on the big screen in a live action.
I'm just concerned that it's too late. Like, I feel like if you have
Yeah.
THRAWN, you don't bring him in for 9, unless, you know, last episode, on episode 43, we were having a conversation. Could they take episode 9 and make it 2 movies?
I want it as 2 movies, 100%.
If they did it,
I would prefer 2 movies because we have a whole lot of things to wrap up.
if they did 2 movies, though, THRAWN would be not so much wasted. I feel like if you only have one movie and it's 2.5 hours, maybe, let's say at the most it's going to be 2.5 hours, can you really introduce THRAWN, convey how menacing he is, and then resolve a 9-film saga? I don't think so. I think
he would have to make a reappearance, either in the Resistance or in a novel, you know, because you have to build it up to, like, he can't just boom be there, because then it begs the question, well, what happened to Ezra?
Well, that's one of my complaints with the prequel trilogy, is that Darth Maul by himself is a pretty badass character, but they didn't have any time to develop him into something as menacing as a Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine. And then they kill him off. Of course, he comes back. Then the next movie, we get Count Dooku pretty heavily. And then the next movie, first scene, they kill him off, and they introduce General Grievous. All 3 of them are really awesome bad guys, but they didn't flush any of them out in the movies. So I'd be perfectly happy if they introduced THRAWN and then split this into 2 movies.
If they actually do bring in THRAWN, I think the argument for a 2-movie episode 9, that argument is a lot stronger. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. And by the way, I believe we got that story from express.co.uk is where we got that story about Robert Grant. Or is it Rupert Grant? I'm sorry.
Richard.
Richard Grant, that's right, I'm sorry. Richard Grant. And just by the look of the guy, he looks like a villain. It'd be kind of funny, though, if he was actually a good guy. He kind of has a reputation of playing villains. It'd be interesting if
He's probably a villain.
Someone to help the good guys out. Just change things up. Let's go ahead and jump to the next topic here in Real Talk, and that is, again, we're still on this episode 9 talk. We have yet to figure out what is going to be the name of this final installment of the Skywalker saga. And last week on episode 43, if you didn't catch it, we had a conversation also about how we think the episodic movie should end with episode 9, that if there is a next trilogy, which we believe is still in the works with Rian Johnson, we know that there's a series of move with Benioff and Weiss, the writers of Game of Thrones, we'd like to see those movies not be numbered. That should exclusively be the Skywalker saga episodes 1 through 9. Here we have a rumor about what the title of episode 9 could be, and that is A New Order. You hear that, Jesse? You kind of look like you're constipated, but let's go ahead and respond. How do you feel about Star Wars Episode 9, A New Order?
Awakens, Last Jedi.
Oh, he's going through all the movies. He's going through all the titles. He's thinking about it. How does it flow?
Just thinking how it flows,
right?
Because you've got A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. We've had Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, A New Order. It does sound like it's got that swarzy, title to it, but
they can't do A New Hope again, and that's kind of what we need in the galaxy right now is A New Hope.
If they do A New Order, then by the end of it, we need to see a foundation for a new Jedi Order of some sort.
Well, Jedi Order, yes. We'd also need to see some politics. And I think one argument that you can have about the sequel trilogy is where the prequels had too much politics involved. I think the sequel trilogy has had not enough politics. It's not giving you the true situation politically so that way you didn't really miss those 5 planets that blew up in Force Awakens. You had no investment there.
Yeah, I guess if you read all the additional novels for that time area,
but the lay fan doesn't have time to do that.
Yeah, it's just that Leia was, people found out that she was, Vader's daughter, and people hated her for it, So it was just okay, that's that. It would have been nice to actually kind of get some of that on screen.
Yeah.
And really, all we got was a bunch of people seeing a big bright red light and screaming.
Because a laser can bend in space now.
It can.
And it can split into 5 parts.
It's crazy. Something that you reminded me of, I don't know if you caught this in The Last Jedi, but also in the book Bloodlines, she starts doing her hair in a style that looks like Vader's helmet from behind. I thought that was kind of cool. Also, I had this epiphany recently. This is a side tangent. I do this quite often on the show if you haven't caught our show before. A moment that I do now like, and it makes me like The Last Jedi more, Luke met Leia first by a projection asking for help, and Luke's story ends as a human, as a live person, by showing a projection to Leia answering her call for help. You get it? It mirrors the same thing. Leia was asking for help, and Luke answered the call, and now she sent out a call, and Luke answered with a projection. I don't know. That was actually something I thought that was really well done, and then after I reflected on it,
there were parts of that movie that were really good,
and then there were other parts. So let's dive into the 5th topic of Real Talk. This is the last topic for Real Talk, and so glad you're catching us on episode 44. If you haven't already, comment down below. We are going to do a Facebook Live, I believe, in September. I think we're talking about the 2nd or 3rd week in September. We have our brand new Beyond the Blast Door pins. We showed you those last week. We have an image right now on the screen. It's right here on top of that toy right there if you want to show it off.
I believe, right?
We have the prototype here. This is plastic, but the actual pin is going to be metal. We have 100 of these bad boys that we're going to be giving away, and we're selling them. But we're going to do a Facebook Live, and we'd like everyone to jump on there and join us when we do our grand release. And I think what we'll do is we'll have some special topics. Maybe we'll have a discussion that we'll have over the course of it. We'll do 1 hour, and we'll see how many we can sell in that first hour. Every dollar that we raise goes directly back into the show to either upkeep or make improvements to the setup that we have. So this last topic here in Real Talk is Samuel L. Jackson. He wants back in. He wants to come back in for episode 9.
I don't think he's going to come back.
Jesse does not like this idea at all, but he recently, this is a story from metro.co.uk, and I also think that the guys over at StarWarsNewsNet.net StarWarsNewsNet.com had this as well, but he wants back in, and he thinks that there's a way back in. I don't think there is a way back in. I would love to see Mace Windu come back. I always like the EU storyline where he's found somewhere on this like swampy planet, and he's just completely like he looks like he's been like drowned in like water for like 30 years. He looks just like completely destroyed, and he's missing his one hand, and he comes back, and he just, I think it's in a comic here, he like has his lightsaber still, and he ignites, and he goes, I haven't gone anywhere. It was a really cool, I wish I could remember the comic for the life of me, but I can't. That's what I would like to have happen, Jesse. I don't think that's going to happen, and you don't want this to happen.
No. Here's the thing. I mean, you look at the actual movie. Well, just look at the prequel movies to begin with. Okay, so Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting Count Dooku.
Yes.
Anakin loses his arm. There's that stun factor there, okay, and then he gets blasted with lightning or whatever, and he's out cold on the floor, okay? So fast forward to episode 3, and here's the thing. He would not have his lightsaber because that's the hand that Anakin cut off. So his lightsaber was laying on the floor.
No, I thought we saw the lightsaber topple down the. I thought it went out the window and toppled down.
I don't think so. I feel like it's like was laying on the floor kind of thing.
We can Google what.
Yeah, you can Google. I'm pretty sure the lightsaber toppled out. Okay, so your theory is still.
So I mean, he's obviously screaming because Anakin just cut his hand off.
Right.
And then Palpatine, who is obviously a more powerful Sith Lord, gives him the full-on lightning treatment. And so my thoughts is he would have been just absolutely just.
Yeah, you're really sucking the fun out of this for me, Jesse. I'm gonna be honest.
Sorry, I just feel
really
like he definitely probably died on impact.
David, could you take Mace? Could you take Mace in episode 9?
I don't think he would fit in the storyline.
He wouldn't at all.
But I love Sam Jackson and anything he's in. And the fact, did you see how he phrased it in the interview? He said, if they call me, I'll show up. Hell, I'm just hanging around just for that. I'd even show up as a hologram or some shit.
I like the part where he was like talking about how he was begging George Lucas not to kill him off in Revenge of the Sith. He's like, George, you know I'm stronger than this kid, right? Like, I could kill him. And it was just like, it just makes me so happy because I can hear Samuel L. Jackson saying
like, I enjoy some of his movies, but I find him somewhat obnoxious as an actor.
Yeah, but he was like out of all of his characters, though, he's the least obnoxious in the prequels because basically George just had him sitting in the council chamber going, this kid's trouble.
He's been going on about this.
This kid is so cold.
Like, it's just like, dude, accept the fact that you're dead.
Well, you know why he has a purple lightsaber, don't you? They got done with the post-production of the movie, and he was over at Lucas's.
Yeah, that's
and
the
he's
thing.
like, Lucas said, how do you like this fight scene when they're in the arena on Geonosis? And he's like, well, I don't know where I am. So that's why they colored his purple. That way he could find himself.
I think that's a great story. It's funny. I think it's great. Jesse, don't take it so seriously. Let yourself have some fun.
This is my second favorite role that he's ever had. My first being when he's in Jurassic Parks and he's got the cigarette dangling out of his mouth.
That's probably his best movie role ever.
Actually, I like the one where he's in Goodfellas and he does the heist, and then his hooker leaves, and then Joe Pesci shows up and kills him. That's going to do it for Real Talk. If you have any thoughts about Samuel L. Jackson and Mace Windu being resurrected for Episode 9, let us know in the comments below. Jesse is right. I just was hoping that Jesse would play along a little bit more. But that's okay, because right now is Pages, Pixels, and Pieces, the next segment of our show, brought to you by our good friends over at the Fantasy Shop in Maplewood, Missouri. They're not just our friends, guys. They're our sponsors. And we're proud to have our local comic shop as our official sponsor. Comics, collectibles, toys, Magic, the Gathering, and board games. The Fantasy Shop in St. Louis, proudly serving St. Louis since 1981. Slow week for comics. We had Darth Vader 20, Dr. Aphra. We're going to focus on Darth Vader number 20 this week. And my goodness, am I enjoying this new arc. Every issue, I should say, we're going to learn more and more about how Vader establishes himself on Mustafar, builds up that castle that we see in Rogue One. And David, let's start off with you. Just first thoughts. Let's not try and spoil anything right now, but first thoughts about this issue.
I really liked it, and that's about as much as I can say without spoiling it.
Jesse, can you do any better than that?
I'm kind of torn with it. There was things about it that I enjoyed, things that I actually thought were hilarious. But the general plot line leading up to the conclusion of this particular issue, what left me, it just felt very lacking. The best part was a picnic.
Oh, when the ship falls from the sky?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Well, that's a spoiler.
Well,
I'm
no, it's
sorry,
not because it
man.
doesn't give any context. Let's be honest. We're recording on a Friday. The comic's been out 2 days already at this point. It's going to be 3 days by the time you're watching this. The book has already been out for 3 days. So is it really that big of a crime that we spoil a little of this?
I liked the Emperor, but I did not like his artwork. His face looks funky to me. And
Yeah,
not like
it seemed like it was different from
funky.
him compared to previous.
It was still Giuseppe, and I will not speak badly about Giuseppe because I feel like he's been crushing it the entire run. What I do like about...
in like 14 months of this comic, this is the first thing I've had to say that is kind of disgruntled.
Because you're always complaining about Salvador LaRocca on the main line.
I am.
You're
His
always
art is great except for his faces.
Salvador's out in like 3 issues, bro. Going to get a new artist. Going to have some fill-ins for a while. Enjoy that inconsistency.
I like where this arc is going, the story arc is going, but just like this particular one, just it didn't do much for me. Like,
Well, it's not over.
yeah,
Now we're only
I
like
know
2.
it's not over, but like this particular issue did not do anything for me.
See, I thought it was great because I'm going to talk as generic as I can about this. Vader senses love in 2 of his Inquisitors, and he handles their love, which is actually kind of an ironic statement when you think about how they die. And then someone else dies in a picnic that Jesse mentioned. I like the gift at the very end that the Emperor gives Vader from the prequel trilogy.
Did it to piss him off.
What?
He totally did it to piss him off.
What do you mean? Well, you think...
I know. Just by the way, here's your wife's,
Okay, we're gonna spoil this. Well, no, we can't. We can't spoil it. It's. You have to go read the comic. If you've read the comic
read
already,
it.
you know exactly what we're talking about. There is something that Padme used quite frequently that might have been left on Mustafar.
It's big and shiny.
It's big and shiny.
Let's just stop there.
Yeah. It's kept in her nightstand. No, but I think what I liked about it was the fact that you know what I'm thinking about it. I think you're right. I think it was to upset Vader because he destroys the droid. He very little words. I thought it was well executed. I don't know, man. The only issue I've ever had problems with in this Darth Vader run, this new Darth Vader run with Charles Soule, was that issue number 11. And then everything else that I've absolutely loved is pretty stellar. Do you have anything that you want to say about this issue? I feel like
without spoiling it.
Well, just go ahead. Just go ahead.
No.
I want you.
We've done this far.
You need to communicate.
just
You
let
need
it
to
out,
talk.
Pookie.
We're good.
You need to talk.
We're good. We can do a separate comic book breakdown or something.
No, we're gonna do it right now in this moment. I want you to talk.
Okay, so I really like the sass that Vader gave the Emperor. I mean, he was like one panel away from a Z snap at one point.
Why was he sassing Vader?
Vader was sassing him. He's like, no, I'm not doing
Oh,
that.
yeah, that was something crazy. The fact that Vader told the Emperor no that we've never
Yeah.
seen happen before.
I'm going to get my own planet. No, I don't want Naboo. I want
Mustafar. I'm excited for the next issue. And also, if you look at the cover, it's like Vader just like staring off at the castle. Was the castle always there? Did he build the castle? How did the castle get there? Did he have someone else build it for you? Were those like lava collector droids building it for him? I don't know.
I haven't seen the next cover yet.
Oh, it's really cool. It's like he's standing here on like this hill, and then like off in the distance is the castle.
It'll be number 21.
It'll be number
I'll go
21.
look that
You
up
can
real
go ahead and
quick.
look that up. We're going to go ahead and dive on to the next topic.
Dr. Aphra?
No,
Oh.
Doctor.
Good.
It's just a thing. I think it's a great character. I think the character is cool. I'm just not into the comic book line. I think there's a lot of people out there that enjoy it, but I don't think it's ever caught the interest of the three of us. Am I wrong in saying
I feel
that?
like at this point, like we do this every episode when it's on here, like because like you said, none of us enjoyed it. I feel like we should just.
Just announce it's out, move on.
Well, right. I think it's important to mention the comics that come out. We'll focus on the one or two that are really cool.
Somebody gets to win the Dr. Aphra comic, right?
Yeah, that's.
I feel
yeah.
bad because somebody said those guys, those Beyond the Blast Doors guys, absolutely hate my favorite comic line.
I'm not gonna mock any of our viewers because I think they're all good people.
Yeah. I mean, if you're enjoying the series, that's great. I mean, we all have a different taste as far as the the artwork and the storylines. And
I mean, they're probably more up to date on the comic books than you, Jesse. So at this point, I don't know why you're pointing fingers. Let's go ahead and dive into this next topic with it. Just Jesse will actually have a lot to say about this Star Wars Battlefront 2. And no, I didn't forget about the comic book giveaway. We're just going to do it at the end of the segment. We are going to talk about Battlefront 2 because coming up in a couple days, we're going to have new Clone Wars content. And in a way, Battlefront 2 will be the way it should have been from the very beginning. Can you explain that?
Yeah, okay. So at E3, EA and DICE announced that they were going to release basically a whole bunch of Clone Wars related content, a new game mode, a series of maps, some Clone Trooper skins. The beginning of this, basically all this DLC is August 29th. Nothing really large with this upcoming content patch. Do get a handful of Trooper skins and appearances. And they're also... There's been a rumor of droid decas. The big thing for me, though, that I'm really excited about is they're adding a button that allows you to queue strictly for Clone Wars maps and game modes. So you can basically, if you don't like playing any of the Resistance or Empire versus the Rebellion, you can click this button and it'll be full-on Clone Wars, maps nonstop. I'm excited about that because that's like... The fan base was like, just do a Clone War. Like, that's what everybody's been wanting.
It's kind of like the era that you enjoy the most in Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's just one of those things where that's what the fans wanted, and now I kind of feel like, okay, they're listening to that, which is kind of nice. But this is the beginning of a series of Clone Wars-related content updates for this game. I'm just kind of hoping that in some ways this will maybe draw people back into this game because, it got such a bad rap at launch.
Well, it did. And like David and I played the game right when it came out. We beat the campaign. Yeah, we beat the campaign in like 8 hours.
Which was a good storyline.
Which was
really
a great
was,
storyline. And but after that, I kind of lost interest because by the time I did that, people already been playing for weeks, and I was not good enough to play online. I was an automatic kill for anybody who saw me. So
David was running around with a sign was, "I'm free."
I just shot. I just shot in circles. I just ran around.
It's a magic miracle that he got through the campaign at all.
Whoa! I did really well during the campaign.
You did marginally successful.
What are you talking about? I did better than you. All right. So again, why we're doing all these finger pointing? It's like, geez.
Let's face it, I did better than both of you combined. So
Tearing ourselves apart where we should be saving the things we love, guys, like Rose Tika.
Tearing things apart, I hear that they're going to nerf Boba Fett in the next patch.
No, he's not. He's fine. He's never been over the top powerful or anything as far as the game goes.
I made the comment that prequels is probably your favorite era of Star Wars, but I have a feeling that like Favreau is going to steal your heart because apparently like the whole thing's going to be Mandalorian based.
If it is, shut up, take my money kind of thing.
We'll find out in 2020 because I don't think we're going to see anything in 2019 for it.
Jon Favreau, if you need a stand-in guy, just give me a holler.
I know a guy with a Mandalorian armor
I know a
cosplay.
guy, mainly me.
You're a clown. Okay,
I
two
am.
more topics left here in Pages, Pixels, Pieces. We got some Legos to talk about, and I'm really fascinated to get your take on this. And David, we'll start with you. Lego in the last 24, 38 hours releases these images of Betrayal on Cloud City. It is going to be approximately $350. It is going to be about 2,000 something pieces, and it's kind of like the Death Star, where it's a bunch of different scenes on Bespin that they put into this. Not really modular, but it's all kind of self-contained. If you're watching this right now on the uploaded episode, you're seeing an image of it on your screen. It's I guess it's cool because you get all those scenes. It's like what I say about the Death Star. It's like it's cool, but it's not really that great of a display set. And every scene that I see here, I want a little bit more of. And I'm not trying to be ungrateful, but for the piece count, it's like it's like 13 or 15 pieces per dollar. Like it's something like really, it's really ridiculous. It is like 20 minifigures. It's like 18 to 20 minifigures, but it's like that shouldn't drive up the cost this much.
It seems like more of a play set than a build set.
It's definitely for playability, and I think it's maybe for the younger kids, but like it doesn't compare.
I wouldn't pay $350 for my kid to play with.
I wouldn't.
Lego set.
Yes, I feel the same way, and they haven't called this a UCS set, although originally it was branded that way. kind of takes you back to that Hoth set that came out a couple years ago. They were trying to say that's UCS, and I hate when they do that because these are play sets, and they just don't meet that standard of like the UCS X-Wing or the Fighter or the Slave One.
But I can't think of the YouTube. I actually watch this YouTuber a lot for rumored Lego sets because I'd say like 85% of the time he's been correct.
I'm glad we have his name to give him some love.
I want to say it's Mandar Productions.
Oh, Man Promotions. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we follow him.
like,
Oh, of course.
yeah.
I knew that.
You're such a tool.
So I mean, like he had a video like last week where it was like rumor, and then they dropped like the official one here. I think it is a cool play set, but he said it best was this isn't something that he would label as like a UCS set. It's more of like a master builders kind of set.
Yeah.
And this would be kind of a difficult one to display because you've got 4 different sections to it. The only way I'd be able to say you'd be able to effectively display this is if you had it like on some sort of like a turn, something where you could actually like rotate
Or like
it.
it's on a plate that's tilted up so you can see into it all.
How big is this thing supposed to be? Do we know that yet?
It's gonna be like this.
I mean, is it like card table size?
Yeah,
it's like
I'm
this.
looking at it and I'm thinking it's like probably like about like that.
Okay.
But I mean, the closer look, you get some really cool minifigures. The Ugnaught apparently is different than the Ugnaught.
But you only get one, right?
Yeah, you only get one.
What the hell?
But I mean, like
You need
going through
2.
You get Princess Leia, Chewbacca, Han Solo, Lando, Darth Vader, a Bespin, Luke Skywalker. I mean, it's got all the important scenes that you would want in here.
Even the kitchen scene.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you're a fan of Empire Strikes Back, this may be a must-have set.
I just think for the price point, I think the price point is what kills that, though.
Yeah, like $350, I feel, is a little steep. Where I think what the Death Star was, what was it?
It was like $350 or $400. It was $400.
I think they could have done better if they'd taken each one of these little foursomes and marketed them for like $70 a piece and separated them. So you could put them all together.
Yes,
because
okay.
I have no problem dropping $70. I mean, $70 still sucks, but I would drop $70 for a Lego set
If it was more detailed.
if it was more detailed. But I would then go back a couple months later and drop another $70 to grab the next one. And because I've already got half of them, then another month goes by.
So you're suggesting a modular?
Yeah. So this is good. Go ahead.
Because $350 to me, even as an adult, that's a big financial investment. But you split that over 4 purchases, and I can do one a month or one every 6 weeks or 2 months. I can digest $80 easier than I can digest $350.
See, you beat me to it because what I wanted to bring up was like 4 years ago they did 2 or 3 sets for Jabba's palace, and you had the palace, and then you had the Rancor pit, and then you had something else, and they all hooked up to each other, and you had this big display.
That's really cool.
So what? Yeah, do what you just suggested is do that concept on steroids with the Battle of Hoth. Give me a little bit of like the hallway portion, and then the stem out where the vein is, where he loses his hand. Like that'd be cool. Give me like an actual like dinner hall. That'd be fun. I think when I look on the internet and I see a lot of people's complaints, I think a lot of people's complaints about this set isn't that it's not enough detail on the individual scenes. They just wanted like a Cloud City set. Like they wanted it to look like Cloud City from afar. They didn't really care for the indoor scenes, or if they would have gotten the indoor scenes.
Oh, that's really cool.
To cover them up, to cover over them, so that way it would have looked like a Cloud City.
I would say that's
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's definitely one of my biggest complaints is basically you're getting all these great scenes from Empire.
That's not the real set.
In Lego form, but at the same time, it's just like, like panels. I don't know. Again, I see this as it's a cool thing to have, but like displaying it. How would you display it?
Same price. I want like double the piece count, and I want it not to be like an open air setup. I want it like covered to where it looks like Cloud City.
But you know what I mean? Like I'd want it like to where you can spin it.
Yeah, but then you got to spend money on a setup, and that's stupid too. That's like another $50.
Yeah, I mean it's just like if I were it's the same thing. Like if I were to pick up the UCS Falcon, I would totally invest in having a custom coffee table display case. So that way it's like it's in there, you can look at it, kind of thing.
You would.
Like how else would you display something like that? Like just.
You wouldn't, because you don't want other people to touch it.
What do you think about this? Are you encouraged? Are you excited? Or are you ashamed that 3 men in their 20s are crying about a Lego set? Jesse's in his 30s.
I just think they're good. They're cool display. I have the UCS Slave 1, which is fantastic.
We're all jealous of it.
You know, if you get this set, you get a little baby Slave 1 to go with your big Slave 1.
You know, and that actually brings me back
That's
to
a positive. That mini series is pretty cool.
The modular idea is supposedly what is it? A junior set or junior builder sets that they do. That would have been something like nice, you know, like a nice price point. Okay, here's like a new Slave 1, which is, you know, Man Productions, you know, thinks that there's actually a new Slave 1 coming, but it's marketed towards like the younger kids.
Right.
Like, that would have been a cool, like, yeah, a little bit more expensive, but like, here, buy this, so you get Slave 1, but I also get a portion to go towards.
You know what, Jesse? The fun part is. That is not what we're getting. Comment down below and let us know what you think. Let's go ahead. Oh, how did I forget, folks? We have to give away some comics. Every week on Beyond the Blast Doors, we're giving away free comics. And this week's giveaway is, are you ready for this hashtag? I think it's going to be funny.
Uh-oh.
I've seen that ship. Hashtag I've seen that ship. If you read Darth Vader number 20, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Hashtag I've seen that ship. Make sure you comment that down below on the YouTube video of episode 44. David, do you get the reference?
No, I was reading Nick Stewart, our buddy.
Yeah.
He's on our Facebook Live right now.
What's he saying?
He's saying that poor Vader just wanted to serve dinner.
Hey, look, Jesse's saying hi on there.
Nick thinks it's better in one set, in his opinion. Is that what emo stands for? In my opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion.
And,
hey, Nick, do you know that you still haven't? We still haven't built your Lego set that we've had for like a year and a half now. The Clone Trooper transport. It's still in the box in the closet.
We should build it together.
Well, I would like Nick.
Team building activity?
I'd like Nick to come down and visit so we could build it.
Nick, when are you gonna come visit?
Nick, one of the OT characters here on Beyond the Blast Doors. Oh, that's cool. We have like the original era, and now this is like the Phase 2. God, it's special.
Nick, how does it feel to be called a prequel character?
I called him an OT character. Anyway, hashtag I've seen that ship. Comment down below. Let us know. We'll draw on Friday, and maybe you win this week's comic book giveaway. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the next segment of our show, Stash It or Blast It. This is the third segment of the show, and we're going to start off with a doozy. These boys don't see it on their show notes. That's okay. We've all watched it. Star Wars Resistance. New trailer for that series came out. I don't know if you can call it a trailer. I think it's more of a teaser, but it was a minute worth of content that was dropped by Disney on the YouTube channel. And boys, I just be kind of curious to get your thoughts on it because there's a lot of controversy. For example, 74,000 people have put a thumbs down on the trailer on the Disney account, and I think only like 12,000 gave it a thumbs up. So I think that's kind of hysterical because it's like, wow, could anything be worse than the Han Solo trailer? Remember when we were like, man, it's still not even past 5 million views yet? Wow, this is pretty abysmal. But maybe this is like a bunch of adults crying that they're not getting a TV series catered to them when Disney is trying to target the children. But whatever. Let's start in with you, David, because I think we watched this together. We did watch this together. And I like the ships, and I like the station in the Resistance trailer, but I just hate their faces. And that's not being racist or anything. It looks like it's incomplete animation. It doesn't. It looks like cheap anime, and we knew that going into this that it was going to be an anime. It'd be an anime-styled show, but it doesn't look like good.
Wasn't there a rumor that Filoni was very involved with this, and now we're hearing that he's not very involved with this?
Yeah, he's not as hands-on as we originally thought.
Because we thought that this was his show.
Yeah,
his baby, right?
Right. We thought this was going to be like his third series. He did Clone Wars, he did Rebels, and now he's doing Star Wars Resistance.
Could have been a diversion tactic to hide the fact that he was actually working on a next season for the Clone
something
Wars.
Else.
Or he's actually working on a larger scale project, which that's my hope. If this is true that he's not actually like really helming this project. The animation stuff, I mean, I kind of grew up with, anime, like Dragon Ball, Cowboy Bebop and everything. So
right.
The animation actually
But it doesn't look as good as that, though.
Yeah, but it just wasn't a shock, though. Like, for some people, I can see where, they see Clone Wars and, Rebels where it's like a sharper animation, and then you get this. I can see where that's shocking.
I think the difference also is we're not doing a 3D or we're not doing like a CG series. Mm-hmm. This is a 2D animation, and I get it. Like I get that each style is gonna be different, and I remember when Clone Wars first came out, there was a lot of people struggling to get into that style of animation.
Yeah.
And then I would call Rebels like a Diet Coke version of the Clone Wars approach, and people were like, but it's still. You're getting this 2D version out, and there just seems to be like a lot of people unhappy about it. But I'm not trying to tear this apart because again, we've only seen a minute of this. What do we think?
So, here's my take on it. I am not looking forward to this one. However, I will say that I didn't look forward to Rebels, and I didn't look forward to the Clone Wars. And before each of those series, I looked at the animation and I said, "This is dumb. It looks awful, and I don't like it." But by the end of it, it grew on me. So maybe this will grow on us too. I think the bigger issue that I have right now, and I said this with Rebels, and I said this with the Clone Wars too, is I don't like the characters and the story that they're throwing at us. I have no love for Poe. I don't see why people enjoy him. I think he's a liability. I don't see why I don't think he is very charismatic or deserving of his own show or his own comic line. I don't see what he actually contributes to the Resistance.
See, okay, so this is where I got to stop you. You continue to get held up on Poe Dameron, but he is such a minor character in this series. So you need to really let that go because he and Phasma, we know, are minor characters making small appearances in this series. We're going to be following Xandu, which is the main pilot that's set up 5 years before The Force Awakens. And I'm going to give this series a chance. Just like I said, I'm going to struggle with the facial animation. It's like what we're talking about with Salvador LaRocca in the main line of the comic book series is everything looks great but the characters' faces. Well, that's where my attention's going to be. As long as someone's talking, I'm going to be looking at that face and getting deterred. But you look at the ships flying through the rings. They're doing that. Either they're doing some kind of race
or something, yeah.
or it's some kind of like practicing of tactical flight. Looks sweet. The station they're on looks sweet. Everything but the people on this show look great. So take that for what it is, Jesse.
The best thing that I kind of look at when I approach things like this, and it kind of relates to an experience I had with video games, and that was with The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, which was they used cell shaded animation for that game. And it was such a disappointment coming from, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and then you get this. Mm-hmm. And I was so upset about it, I didn't touch the game for years. And then I finally played it, and it ended up being one of the best stories in the whole Zelda franchise. And it was kind of like the lesson learned kind of thing was yes, it might not be the most visually appealing. There might be a few characters that you're not a fan of, but you have to, you have to give it a shot because, it's the same thing with Rebels here too. That started off, and I felt that it was very much like a downgrade, like in terms of like, I felt like it was 100% geared towards, kids. But I still kind of forced myself to watch it, and it progressed, it got serious, and it got darker.
The first series was for the kids, and then they grew up.
Yes.
But I think you can't get mad if there's a TV show or an animated show that they make for kids in mind, because even George Lucas has been it was created for teens coming of age trying to find their place in the world. There's going to be a lot of this crap that's going to be made for kids that we're going to digest when we're 50. Why? Because we've lost hope, and this is the best thing that we've got. There are some times where life gets really tough, Jesse, and you want to climb under a rock, and you have Star Wars there to make you feel better, okay? It's going to be okay.
David, is Star Wars your emotional crutch?
It might be, honestly, at this point. I just surround myself with stuff, and I hope that makes me feel better.
Some people turn to faith, you turn to George Lucas.
Well, you might say George is dead since 2012. So let's kind of wrap this up. Resistance, we're going to give it a chance. We're skeptical about the animation. Would really like to know some more about the storyline.
Can this be a show that the three of us watch together?
Yeah, that's the plan. We're going to watch it together, and we're going to do a review on it together, like we did that last season of Star Wars Rebels.
I'll bring popcorn.
Okay, that'll be great. We'll do it.
Did you guys watch Star Wars Rebels without me?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we did. We reviewed the whole season 4 together.
Did you watch it together?
Well, no, but we did the show together. Where have you been?
No, I want to sit on a couch with you.
We've been doing this for 44 weeks.
I want to sit on the. I want to sit
Why
in the
do I
middle of the
keep-
couch
why
with a
do-
bowl of popcorn in my lap, letting you two eat out of it.
Why do I keep trying? That bowl is not staying in your lap the entire
No.
time. Let us know what you think down in the comments below about Star Wars Resistance, whether you're watching here on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook Live right now. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. I know that Jesse already has. He says he's not a fan of the animation style either. Next topic here in Sash or Blast It, and we're going to go faster with these two. Russia has a robot concept that looks like a Star Wars AT-ST. Kalashnikov.
I disagree.
Kalashnikov.
I disagree with your reference that with what it looks like. You know what it looks like?
What?
Ed 209 from RoboCop.
Valid, but I'm not making that reference. Like the article says, Russia has an AT-ST, which if you read that like face value, that's absolutely terrifying.
This thing looks like you could trip it with a bag of marbles.
Well, look what they did to the AT-AT in
It actually
Empire
looks like
Strikes
closer
Back.
out of James Cameron's Avatar.
It kind of has like these arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like my first impression with like seeing the legs was 100% Ed 209 and it getting stuck on the staircase.
Listen, everyone cries about how Star Trek influenced the cell phone, okay? Star Wars influenced the AT-ST. The problem, America doesn't have the AT-ST, Jesse. The people who hack elections has the AT-ST.
What people don't know is Japan probably has a whole secret army of Gundams underneath their country, and we don't know about it.
Did you read my copy of my show notes?
That's terrifying.
Because that's literally what I wrote about the cell phone in Star Trek. And
Oh, no, I didn't say that at all. I swear I didn't see that.
that is literally the only note I wrote about this article.
Well, do you have anything else you want? I mean, you were the one that brought the story together. How did you even find this?
The only other note that I have is that it looks neat.
Oh, you think it looks good?
I think it looks neat.
God, I think it
Not
looks
good,
ass
but
ugly.
neat.
It's like a poor man's attempt, which is funny because it probably costs a lot of money.
I did. This was found on a Google search on like the 12th page of Star Wars news.
All right, well,
we had
if-
to dig for this one.
If you want to feel safe, I guess go
also
move to
got
Russia.
some,
They have
Alien 2 lifter.
Russia has AT-STs. That's going to do it for Stash or Blast. So let's go ahead and dive into the staying on target segment for our show. And staying on target, I think, is kind of a follow-up to something we talked about several weeks ago, and the fact that we now have a response from Kelly Marie Tran about why she left social media. Several months ago, she took herself off of social media because she was being ridiculed, bullied, just kind of like verbally assaulted by fans. I don't know if you can call them fans on her social media account. So she got out of them.
Anti-fans, unfans,
Yeah, something. There's a word.
cyberbullies,
Right.
jerk faces.
So she did a response with the New York Times, and I thought it was a very well-written response. And I thought what was most interesting was the statement where she made it. It's not the fact that these people were saying these things; it's the fact that I started to believe them. And I thought that was really powerful because this is a human, this is a person, and you don't have to like the character of Rose in the movie. Like I'm not like I liked Rose. I think Rose would have been a character that could have been utilized better.
Yep.
But I'm not going to disrespect Kelly Marie Tran because
Most of the women in Star Wars.
like Kelly Marie Tran is like a ball of like fiery, awesome energy, and she's so positive. And I'm gonna be honest,
And
we're
she's
like,
not a bad actress
We're like
either.
the same age, and she's gorgeous and she's smart. And it's just like, why would fans not want her and more people like her in the series? Like, why are we chasing that out? It makes no sense. We all read her response. We've heard the response. Jesse, it has to make you feel good. Like this isn't a situation where she's going to run away from the franchise. Like she's sticking her ground. She's back in episode 9, and she's going to own it.
Like I read the article and it was kind of surprising. I was like, she's never going to, at some point I felt like maybe after episode 9 dropped or something because, we're going to see her again.
Right.
There would be some sort of question relating to the toxicity that she received for her role. So I wasn't expecting this kind of article so soon, but
Glad we got it though, right?
yeah, and she explains how it made her feel and everything, and I could totally connect with that on some level because the first time I debuted my armor, I had comments about basically people fat shaming me. I am a bigger, stockier guy,
I think you're beautiful.
Like
I'm not into men,
It does get to you. You actually start to believe that,
but you're pretty.
But thanks.
I feel like I'm in the middle of a love triangle.
I was trying to break them.
But I mean, the thing is, I had friends that were like, that pointed out some valid points. These are people who were jealous of the fact that I had an awesome set of armor.
Yeah, you got great armor.
These are people who are jealous that she's in a Star Wars movie.
Right.
They're not. Okay. Now, the character itself, I enjoyed probably 90% of the character, minus, I guess you could almost say like the love triangle thing or whatever, the love,
Yeah.
the crush on Finn.
The last 20 minutes.
But the fact that she was an engineer and was able, like I enjoyed that. Like I hope to see more of that Rose, in terms of character progression.
I think JJ's going to do a really good job with the character and with Kelly Marie Tran. I do want to touch on the fact that it is a lot easier to say whatever you think when you're hiding behind a screen and it's on social media. And David, I know we've had conversations about this before.
Well, yeah, because I won't even read our YouTube comments or anything for this podcast.
Yeah, he thinks that people don't like him. But can you please comment down below and say you like David? Because
I'm not fishing for compliments.
No, but he really thinks that people just get on there and comment bad things about him, and he'll never check the comments and he'll never respond. But that's not the case. At least in our situation, what are your thoughts when you read Kelly's words?
I think that in her position, she's getting a lot of hate, of course, but she's a trailblazer. I mean, she is the first one who's really whacking through the weeds, if you will, trying to blaze a path for other Asian women stars, and she's brave to do it. And if it's some YouTube comments, there are far worse things that people could do than just hide behind an anonymity wall and trash talk her. And if getting off social media is what she needs to do to remove herself from that toxicity, I'm all for it. But keep moving forward, please. Keep acting.
Yeah.
Because we want to see more of you.
No, she's wonderful. And I honestly, yeah, if people are being jerks and they're not going to be appreciative of the opportunity to have social media and be able to engage her like this, because I can't tell you how many times that I've had like Charles Soule, who writes the Darth Vader comic, or other authors or comic book artists, or even like Mark Hamill liking, a post that we put out on the Beyond the Blast Doors page. Like, it's cool to get that interaction. We live in 2018.
The stars, with the artists. But she's in a different place than some of these comic book artists because she is on screen.
Right, but I'm not saying it for that reason. I'm just saying, like, appreciate the opportunity that you can communicate, and don't like devalue or like piss on that opportunity, because then you'll have like this case where you're gonna have Kelly leave and you'll have more people leave. But honestly, I'd rather have Kelly leave than fire back and fuel it, because there's some people that do that. I think Kelly is above and beyond that, and clearly she is, because that's what she's done. I think it's a great statement, and I'm excited to see what she does in 9.
I also think it's unfortunate because you talk to some of our guys all the time, Nathan Greno and Charles Soule, that we admire. How many young Asian girls could be talking to her over social media where she could actually talk back and encourage them, and now there's not that opportunity.
Because some fanboys ruined it.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see her, once she, because I think what it is it was, such a struggle and everything. Yeah, I can understand stepping away from something for a period of time, but yeah, I mean, like if she is able to, get back at least, like say, Twitter, and at least take the, some time to, because there are fans of her. I mean, look at San Diego Comic-Con. There was a whole like army of people cosplaying as Rostika.
Well, and also let's give a shout out to Black Series Rebels. Those guys, they do a weekly show as well. They did an incredible like 9.5-minute video of fans all over the internet, embracing Kelly, and that was a really beautiful video that they did. I don't know. I hope that there's a way that can be mended. But at the very least, I hope we just show her all the love when we get episode 9. And I just hope that character is utilized to the fullest potentials. Sending love to Kelly Marie Tran. All right, Fan Comlink, it's the last segment of the show here on episode 44. We are flying by. If you didn't know already, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Maybe you watch this episode with us in real time on Facebook Live. If not, you're catching it here on the Rewind on YouTube, and we're so thankful. You can also help support our show by joining us on Patreon. That's where you can get our audio-exclusive version of our show. We'll also do weekly videos where we try and update you on comic books. So like I try and do like a Tuesday or Wednesday morning preview of the comics coming out this week and what we're looking forward to and what we're excited about. There's also a few things coming down the path as well. You also get exclusive prints and T-shirts, which is really fun. And don't forget about those pins. We're going to do a Facebook Live video in the next couple of weeks where we're going to be selling those off. We have 100 pins we want to sell out. We sell out with those pins. It's going to mean some pretty cool things for Beyond the Blaster, so be on the lookout for that. First question from Fan Comlink that comes from us is Dad Clone Daniel. Thank you so much for giving us this question. Are Finn and Poe on the new planet to recruit people, or did they crash land? Also, what's up with those horses? So this goes back to the very first topic of our show where we were talking about the recently leaked images. We have these images of them together, and what Dead Clone Daniel is asking for is, what's the purpose? So let's go ahead and speculate. We saw these images. They're on the hillside. They're surrounded by maybe other, rebels, resistance crew, maybe they're natives. David, let's go ahead. Let's start with you. What do you think is going on?
I think Poe's there, so they probably crashed, and maybe these horse creatures are going to be their new mode of transportation as they do whatever they're trying to do on this planet.
Okay, so we just assume that no matter what, if Finn's involved, he has to crash land.
Poe.
Oh, Poe has to crash land because he's a terrible pilot, and
Yes.
he's a liability in your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Why do you? I get it. I get it. You've explained it so many times. I like Poe. What's going on, Jesse? What do you think?
I actually think that potentially they're either recruiting or scouting
Or eloping.
In terms of the planet goes, it seems to be like a kind of like a plains.
Yeah.
A lot of open fields. So the horse-like creatures would make sense. It's also not the first time that we've seen a populace utilize native animals. Battle of Ryloth, for example. Also, again, if you look at the pictures, a lot of CGI markers on there, so you're not going to just see this weird, like this horse head with long hair.
I hope they look better than those yaks we got in Last Jedi.
Yeah, so expect something like horse-like, being used like a horse, but not looking like one.
Used like a horse, but not looking like one.
So, that's my thought on it, is that, at the end of The Last Jedi, they're kind of in a pickle. Nobody really showed up to aid them, at that desperate moment. So they've escaped. I can see them trying to build
See,
an
I
army.
think they're on the hillsides of Naboo, and Finn and Poe have had to flee the Resistance because they were being persecuted for their romance.
He thinks he's funny.
They get sent away on this mission. Actually, it's by choice. They're sent by the Resistance because there's some issue. Something was buried with Jar Jar Binks, and we all know in the Aftermath novel,
this from deep within.
he was buried. He was a clown. He was a street performer, and he died. And so they had to bury him on his home planet. And so I think what it's going to happen is there's going to be a Kyber crystal that's buried with Jar Jar Binks. Is anyone else bored with this yet?
Because it was a Dark Lord of the Sith, right?
Is anybody else bored with this yet? Okay, we're moving on. Next question here is from our good buddy Tom. Tom is a great guy. He's a big supporter of the show. He wants to know, will we see Mara at all or Jabba's son Rhoda from the Clone Wars? I believe he's asking this question for Episode 9. So we've talked about Mara Jade before, the likelihood...
Is Luke's wife in the extended universe, right?
Expanded universe, yes.
In the Legends, I guess is what they're calling them now. Okay.
Which is actually, so he mentions that real quick. There's a quote that I just found from George Lucas where he said, here's the canon story, and this is everyone else's story. So I think George always kind of saw a separation. Like, he let people storytell and fantasize, but it was interesting. I didn't know that George Lucas had that separation in the storytelling. So just a random thing I'm throwing out there. Let's start with Jesse. Will we see Mara? Will we see Rhoda the Hutt in Episode 9?
As much as I'd like to see both, no and no.
Oh, wow. You even say no to Rhoda?
Yeah.
You don't think we're going to get a Hutt?
How are you going to fit it in? There's already so many things from The Force Awakens that Rian Johnson put off to the side, and if Abrams is going to try to bring any of that, where is he going to fit in? A Hutt from the Crime Syndicate.
Maybe we need 3 movies.
Also, you're dealing with Princess Leia, who strangled his, Jabba. I don't think they're going to be on such great terms anyway.
As far as we don't know, Rhoda wasn't even around during Return of the Jedi.
If I was going to see a Hutt in this Disney trilogy, I would have wanted to see it on Canto Bight. Somewhere in the background.
Yeah, I can roll with that. I can roll with that for sure.
Like trying to use his short little arms to like roll dice or something.
Not that I don't want to see these characters. I just don't see them making it into Episode 9. Mara Jade is, again, it's part, I'd say between the two, you'd be more likely to see Rhoda over Mara, because Mara was part of the expanded universe where, Rhoda actually was in the Clone Wars as a little slug deal.
I think it's too late for Mara Jade, though. Mara should be coming around when, 20 years ago on the timeline, back when, Luke was, young, happy, idealistic, and, not trying to kill his nephew.
Yeah. So I don't want to write it off as completely impossible, but not really probable at this point.
All right, so it sounds like no. I'm going to say no as well, Tom, but I appreciate the question. Thanks for sending that in. And as always, if you want your Star Wars questions answered on Beyond the Blast all you have to do is tweet us at any time, any day, and we just put it on the next episode. We'd love for you to do that. All you got to do is hashtag Beyond the Blast and we'll make sure that your question makes it on the next episode. Boys, that's going to do it for episode 44. It was jam-packed, an hour full of a lot of fun stories to talk about. We're at that point now, I think we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, like the threshold has been broken. We hadn't heard anything about episode 9, and now we're starting to hear quite a bit. We're getting image leaks. And again, we want to thank StarWarsNewsNet.com about the set link, the set images with Poe and Finn. MakingStarWars.net was the ones that broke the story about the Falcon, with the image about the Falcon. This is going to continue. And I think we're going to try and do our best job to be careful of how we present these stories because we don't want burnout. I think something about The Last Jedi is we were on like every story, and then when you got to The Last Jedi, there were so many possibilities that you thought might happen that that movie did not turn out maybe the way you wanted. And there's a lot of people that like that movie, and I think here we all admit there's things that we liked about the movie, but we're going to try not be as hypercritical. I think I was hypercritical about every story leading up to The Last Jedi, and I had built up myself an expected version of this movie that I didn't get. I think that hampered my experience. And so we're going to talk about the things, and we're going to have a lot of fun talking about the things, but we are going to do our best not to burn you out going into the movie theater.